If anything, I hope he actually yells so these paid articles might actually have a hint of truth to them. And this is you had Justin's reps also shooting down the article, telling People magazine, this is just clickbait stupidity based on unnamed and clearly ill-informed, quote, sources, disappointed they no longer work with Justin. And adding, as Justin forges his own way forward, these unnecessary stories and inaccurate assumptions will continue. But they won't deter him from staying committed to following the right path. For now, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens from here, if anything, and in the meantime, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts on the situation in general, as well as specifically the media's role in all this. But then, next up today, we gotta talk about Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth reportedly sharing detailed information about airstrikes in Yemen in a Signal group chat that included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer. And to be clear, these were the same airstrikes that were discussed in the other chat that mistakenly included the editor of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg. Also strikes that reportedly killed at least 53 people, including children. Which on that note, I should say before getting into the rest of this, that these types of airstrikes are still happening. In fact, you have the Associated Press finding that the US bombing campaign in Yemen appears to be even more intense and aggressive than in the past. With, for example, just today, a US airstrike reportedly killing 12 people in the country's capital, and a few days ago, multiple airstrikes on a port reportedly killed 33 people, with a Houthi-run news channel claiming that paramedics and workers were among the dead. And this after last week, an attack on the same port reportedly killed 74, with the extent of potential civilian casualties reportedly unknown. And so I wanted to mention that because there's a whole conversation and focus to be had there. But for today, back to the Signal chat controversy. Notably there, besides having a conversation on Signal, Hegseth reportedly used his private phone rather than his government one to access the chat. And this, even after several staff members reportedly encouraged him to move the work-related matters to his government phone, which he reportedly never did. And then as far as those included in the chat, well, like I said, there was Jennifer, his wife, who's a former Fox News producer and who, in case you were wondering, is not a Defense Department employee. Though this also, as notably she has reportedly accompanied her husband to sensitive meetings with foreign military officials. But then moving on from his wife, there's Hegseth's brother Phil and the lawyer whose name is Tim Parlatore. And those two, I will say, at least have jobs in the Pentagon. Phil is working as a liaison to the Department of Homeland Security and as a senior advisor to the Defense Secretary, aka his brother. And Tim, he is still reportedly working as Hegseth's personal lawyer, but he is also a Navy commander in the Judge Advocate General's Corps, a job he reportedly got about a week before the strikes took place. And with that, it's still really unclear why either one of them would need to know about upcoming military action in Yemen. And as far as what kind of information they were actually privy to, it reportedly included flight schedules for the fighter jets. So essentially the same attack plan shared in the chat with Jeffrey Goldberg, though also notably unlike that chat, which was created by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and included Goldberg by accident, this one was created by Hegseth. And as far as we know, it included his wife, brother, and lawyer on purpose. And in fact, it reportedly also included about a dozen other people from his personal and professional inner circle before his confirmation as defense secretary, including, for example, 2 senior advisors who were accused of leaking unauthorized information last week and were fired. So actually, with that, Hegseth has seemingly responded to this latest story by trying to pin it on those individuals and just attacking the media in general.
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not gonna work with me. This is why we're fighting the fake news media.